Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm continuing with my Eurythmics discography journey, and we have made it to the soundtrack album 1984, For the Love of Big Brother, which they did release in 1984. This album, the soundtrack album, was released a year after Touch, their third studio album in 1983, and it was released before their fourth studio album, Be Yourself Tonight, from what year? 1985. So it was sandwiched in between Touch and Be Yourself Tonight. I haven't seen this movie before. I don't know if I've read the book. I think I might have at some point in my life. This soundtrack album contains music recorded by the Eurythmics for the 1984 film 1984, based on George Orwell's dystopian novel of the same name. Now, something I didn't know, and something that was unknown to the Eurythmics as well, is Michael Radford, the film's director of 1984, had commissioned his own orchestral score because he was not fond of the Eurythmics' work and what they had done with the soundtrack for his movie. And when accepting an award for the film, Michael Radford publicly complained of having the Eurythmics' music foisted on him. The Eurythmics issued a statement saying that they had accepted Virgin's commission in good faith. It would never have done so if they had known that was not being done with the director's approval. So it looks like there was some drama surrounding the creation of the soundtrack for this album, which is unfortunate because the Eurythmics are incredibly talented, and it just sucks that their renditions and their music wasn't overly accepted by the director of this film. Now, there are 9 tracks on the album, and I don't recall hearing any of these songs before. The album is 39 minutes, so let's get into it with track 1, I Did It Just the Same. That was track 1, I Did It Just the Same, and yep, it definitely sounds like the Eurythmics. It's a little bizarre and strange, which is something I've come to know about the Eurythmics and their music in general. And I liked it. Would I listen to it again? No. I'm curious to know how this track fits in with the overall vibe and context of the movie 1984. I definitely have to check out the movie now. I was curious to know if the movie was available on iTunes, and it is. At least it is in Canada, and you can choose to buy it or rent it, so I will definitely rent it. I actually think I should read the book first. So I'm gonna buy the book, I'm gonna read the book, and then I'm gonna watch the movie. We do hear Annie's vocals on this track, however, she isn't singing actual lyrics or words. It's more so just, how do I explain it? It's just, I guess, Annieisms. Just the way she sings. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of woo, 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 woo. And just interesting quirks she does with her voice. I mean, I liked listening to it for the first time. It's Eurythmics, so I'm always happy to listen to a Eurythmics track, whether there are lyrics or not. The production is great, but obviously it's not a track I would listen to again. Anyway, let's move on to track number 2, Sex Crime, 1984. That was track 2, Sex Crime, 1984. Wow. Again, just like track 1, this has Eurythmics all over it. Thanks to Dave Stewart's eclectic and bizarre, distorted production. I liked it. Annie was wonderful too. I wasn't expecting anything less, honestly. Is this a track I would want to listen to again? Maybe. I definitely wouldn't listen to it all the time. Sex Crime, can I take this for granted with your eyes over me in this place, this wintry home? I know there's always someone in Sex Crime. 1984. Pull the bricks down one by one, leave a big hole in the wall, just where you are looking in. Sex Crime. Now, it looks like this was released as the lead single from this soundtrack album. Sex Crime is a song which features heavy sampling of Lennox's voice, utilizing snippets of her vocal performance to produce a stuttering effect. With the aid of a vocoder, Dave Stewart utters the phrase 1984 repeatedly. The song was originally intended to appear in the film 1984, but was dropped prior to the film's release. Bizarre. I'm just getting the impression that the Eurythmics' work on the soundtrack wasn't really appreciated by the director or anyone involved with the promotion of this album. Sex Crime met with strong resistance on United States radio and on video outlets such as MTV. The song's title was particularly controversial to those who were not aware of the meaning of the word in Orwell's novel. I did like listening to this song for the first time. I thought it was unique and different, very much in the Eurythmics style, but I really wouldn't listen to it again, but I can still appreciate what they did with the overall production of this track. The stuttering and the vocoder and the overall distortion. I thought it was very intriguing to listen to. Anyway, let's move on to track 3, For the Love of Big Brother. That was track 3, For the Love of Big Brother. And once again, the overall production from Dave Stewart was great. It was more, I guess, psychedelic sounding. And yeah, Annie was great. I don't really have a lot to say about it. It's not a track I would listen to again. Maybe I have to watch the movie to appreciate these tracks a bit more. But without seeing the movie, I mean, these are good Eurythmics tracks, but they're not tracks I would listen to again. I do find, though, with most soundtrack albums I've listened to in the past without having seen the movie, I still enjoyed them, and I could still appreciate them, and I'm having that same situation happen here, where I can appreciate the music, even though I haven't read the book or seen the movie. But when it comes to their studio albums like Touch, Sweet Dreams, In the Garden, and Be Yourself Tonight, this is obviously not an album that I would be particularly drawn to or want to listen to again. But let's move on to track 4, Winston's Diary. That was tracks 4 and 5, Winston's Diary and Greens from a Dead Man, and I really don't have a lot to say in this video, to be honest with you guys. I really am trying my best. There just isn't really a lot to comment on or react to. We do hear more of Annie's vocals on track 5, Greens from a Dead Man. She isn't actually really singing, it's more of a ba 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 ba. Obviously, Dave Stewart's production is great, like always. I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to trying to find things to comment on. Anyway, let's move on to track 6, Julia. That was track 6, Julia, and I liked the ambience of this track. It's probably one of my favorite tracks thus far, if not my favorite track. It's very beautiful and haunting, and I liked it. I didn't find it particularly, I mean, it was interesting, but it's not particularly memorable. Julia, when the leaves turn from green to brown and autumn shades come tumbling down. Julia, to leave a carpet on the ground where we have laid. Julia, when winter leaves her branches bare and icy breezes chill the air. Oh, Julia, the freezing snow lies everywhere, my darling. Will we still be there? I'm curious to know if Julia is a character from the book. Now, this song does play during the credits of the movie, which is nice. And the song was produced by Dave Stewart and was the second final single released from the album. The song uses very sparse electronic instrumentation and an almost a cappella performance by Annie. Her vocals are accentuated by vocoder effects in the background. The title and lyrics of the song are based upon the novel's heroine and love interest, Julia. See, I'm sure these songs would make a lot more sense to me lyrically if I had read the damn book. Now, the version of Julia found on the soundtrack differs from the one being played during the end credits of the film, which is more string-based with less synthetic arrangements. This is also the case for many of the other songs on the soundtrack versus their version used in the film. And I guess that goes back to how the director of this movie wasn't impressed with the Eurythmics' commissioned work for the film. I mean, Annie is great like always. Annie's vocals are always fantastic to hear, and Dave Stewart's production, so I liked this track, but to me, it's not the most memorable thing they have ever done. I just thought it was okay. And I would maybe listen to it again, I don't know, but let's move on to track 7, Double Plus Good. That was track 7, Double Plus Good. Plus good, double plus good. This was quite interesting. Again, I'm sure this would make a lot more sense if I saw the movie or read the book. Attention, your attention, please. A newsflash has this moment arrived from the Malabar front. Our forces in South India have won a glorious victory. And then there's just a lot of gibberish and random words that mean nothing to me. I'm sure they mean something in the context of the story, but I haven't read the book, so I have no idea. Another interesting song on the album, Annie was great. The distortion and her vocals. She is some sort of broadcaster on this track, saying attention, your attention, please. I liked listening to it for the first time, but just like most of the other songs I just listened to, this isn't a song I would typically listen to again. I think the main issue I have with this soundtrack album is I just don't find a lot of these tracks to be that memorable. Anyway, let's move on to track 8, Ministry of Love. That was track 8, Ministry of Love, and I really don't know what to say anymore. I'm struggling with finding things to say, I will be honest. I liked this track. It was more tribal towards the end when it came to the vocal performance from Annie. I mean, it was nice to listen to, but I wouldn't listen to it again. And I really have nothing else to say, unfortunately. I'm sorry if I disappointed some of you with this video of mine, but I don't know what to say. So we have made it to the end of the album at track 9, Room 101. That was track 9, Room 101, and this is probably one of my favorite tracks from the album. The gunshot at the end was quite shocking. It was a nice surprise. It's dark, it's eerie, it's strange, and overall, I enjoyed this track. Would I listen to it again? Probably not. So that was all 9 tracks of 1984 For the Love of Big Brother by the Eurythmics, and I thought this was, it had great production. Dave Stewart is a magician when it comes to his production techniques and what he can do in the studio. So for me, that was the highlight of the album. The overall vibe and sound and mood of this album is what I would come to expect from an album that is based off of a George Orwell novel like 1984. Annie's vocals were also great on this album, like always. She isn't really singing on this album. There aren't really any lyrics in a lot of these songs. She's using it more so as, I guess, an extension of the overall production of the album. A lot of Annieisms when it comes to her mumblings and just her register and what she can do with the techniques that God blessed her with. And she's a very interesting vocalist, and at times her vocals are distorted and she uses a vocoder, and yeah, it was highly interesting hearing Annie on this album. I don't find a lot of these songs to be memorable, unfortunately, at least not for me. I don't know about you guys. Maybe there are a lot of you who think this album is fantastic and you like listening to it, but for me, it didn't really do anything. And I'm looking at the track list, and I honestly wouldn't really listen to any of these songs again. But maybe I'll have a different opinion once I sit down and watch the movie. I'm curious to know how these tracks fit in with the overall vibe of the movie. But like I said at the beginning of this video, there was a bit of tension between the director and the Eurythmics, how the director wasn't impressed with what they ended up doing for the movie, so that's quite unfortunate. So what did you guys think of this soundtrack album, and what are your impressions of it? So in my next Eurythmics video, we will move on to their 5th studio album from 1986 called Revenge. I'm very much looking forward to that, and thanks for watching, guys. You can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, you can message me and say, hey, how are you? And I will see you next time. Take care.